Skylanders presents the Skylanders Earth Element. Hello again, everyone. This is Skylanders bringing you Part 8 of Return of the Skylanders. Now we are in the Earth Element. Here are most of them, and we start off with Ground Shift. He's an underground reptile of some kind who lived with a bunch of others for centuries until Drow miners came and forced them to dig up crystals. Until he found a special crystal which gave him this crystalline armor. Here is either his name is Vale or Landslide or Lancer. He used to be a Drow elf warrior before he had contact with Stump Smash, conked him on the head, and memories started flooding back of his childhood. And he remembered having a brother and a sister, which turned out to be Stealth Elf and Weed Reaper. By the way, the two that I just said now, they don't know that they're siblings, but he knows they're all related, but doesn't tell about it yet. Here is Armadillo. He is he's covered all over with rocky armor. Kind of in similarity to Bash, he's good friends with him. Don't confuse him with the Boulder. Here is Brachiosaur, a Stegosaurus Skylander who's based on a concept just like Clapper and Kraken from the last videos. All of them were based on 3 different concepts. I just gave Brachiosaur hands so that, sure, there are Skylanders that don't have hands, but he ought to have them. And here, this is Mineshaft. His inspiration is based on the cave claw enemies from the Lord of the Rings online game. Mostly it's the claws. The beak is shortened. He, like Ground Shift, lives underground, but he was not in this backstory of Ground Shift. Here, this is Terrence, a terror wolf who lived alone for a few years until he decided, after beating these rams in a game of strength, he decided to live out of the solitude life. And then he joined the Skylanders. Here, this is Bungalow, a woolly mammoth who was during his time in the past, before he was frozen, he protected his village, and this volcanic eruption happened and ice and snow covered the village, and he was thawed out long enough. Here, this is Sand Trap. He is a desert dragon with similar colorations to that of a thorny devil. He breathes fire, and one of his upgrades allows him to get a glassy kind of armor. An armor made of glass. Here, this is Slash Richter. If you notice, he is actually an Evilican. But one difference is, in his backstory, Dr. Crankcase wanted to make a general for his army. Don't ask why I gave him the animal-like face. I just thought that looked cool for him. And on accident, Dr. Crankcase used blue goo on Slash Richter here, and after destroying his lab, he threw the Villican out. And soon he joined the Skylanders after convincing them that he wasn't a spy. And here, this is Sheila from the original Spyro series. She has her normal coloring. She wears a dark green vest and gloves. Somewhere on her adventures, she met Kanguru, which was a magic Skylander. They both met at one point, and, well, I'll explain that later. Here, this is Train Ceratops, another Triceratops Skylander for the Earth element. He has this giant, like a peach orange colored train like vehicle. Like, he and Shredhead both have vehicles and they're core Skylanders. He also gets a supercharged version in Superchargers in the Reinforcements game. Here, this is Clayette. She was created when this artist wanted a wife, but instead came out with more of like a daughter-like figure here. So he took care of her till she was old enough to go out on her own. Here, this is Boulder. He's a certain kind of like some kind of boulder-like species that lived in this canyon where they feed on herbs and they have rock gardens. Until he met Skylanders, Drainstorm, Crocodile, Lil Hydra, many different characters. And he was convinced to go with them because they needed all the help they get to stop chaos. Here is Earth Cannon. He was caught in an avalanche, like frozen, you could say, and he lost his right arm. So these miners had created this cannon with their forge. Here is Dust Whip. She was a general, or like some kind of office leader in the Golden Queen's armies before the Trap Team came and trapped the Golden Queen. So Snapshot convinced her to strike out on her own. She does not need to serve anyone but herself. And so she decided to become a Skylander. This is a little similar to Drill Sergeant's story when Terrafin came and accidentally woke him up. This is Aftershock. Her armor is mostly based on the How to Train Your Dragon armor from like the third movie. Thought I was going with like the second, but now that I see this, it looks like it's from the third How to Train Your Dragon movie. She's also a dragon trainer. And lastly, I think, this is Mudbath. He has a love interest with Clayette, and she's a bit annoyed. The spikes on his head aren't hardened. He could just make it form into any kind of hairstyle he wants, but this is his normal hairstyle. Oops. So that's it for this video here, guys. What do you think so far? I've only got a few more videos of Return of the Skylanders left for like the light, dark, and 2 new elements. I'll see you again next time. This is Skylanders, signing off.